make a lot of clicks in the digital world, and this one was a good one. Was to play the latest episode of Average Sports by Your Average Guys. Episode 21 of Season 2.
Oh, yeah. Moving through it.
That means we're nearing the end of our season. We got about 3 left?
3 plus this one, so 4 total.
There you go. Yeah, 3 more.
If you're listening, that's basic math, guys.
There you go.
We learned it.
Yep, that in the most average way. And that is the show, The Average Sports, and glad to have you guys tuning in. If it's the first time or you're new to the show, we're just talking about sports headlines, anything in the sports world that piques our interest. And there's always one thing we're not going to talk about, and one thing I don't want to talk about, Eric, is the fact that the Cardinals did not show up to the National League Championship Series. That was awful.
No, I thought it was just the Nationals playing.
I think,
against nobody. Because that's what it felt like.
Yep, sure did.
It was bad.
Yeah, as if they were in the Field of Dreams. Which, by the way, I saw. Did you see that commercial for next year? That the Yankees and White Sox are going to be playing in Iowa. Yeah,
I saw they're quote unquote creating a stadium from scratch in a cornfield.
Yeah, crazy.
They're building. I think it's like a 8,000 seat stadium or something like that.
Yeah,
so.
You can fill that.
Yeah,
if you build it, they'll come. Right.
Yeah, except
I'm sure someone's saying, "Why didn't we think of this sooner?"
I mean, I don't know, man.
No, would you go?
No, I'm not going.
All right.
I'll tune in.
All right.
But I'm not driving to Iowa.
Okay.
To watch a game in an 8,000 seat stadium that the tickets are going to be stupid expensive.
They'll probably be expensive.
Yeah.
It'll be a novelty for most. Aaron Rodgers, though, popping off in week
first
7?
time this year, man.
Oh.
The first time Aaron Rodgers actually showed up. He's been a bum.
Yeah, and if anyone else had to play him in fantasy, I'd sympathize or empathize. That was awful.
You look at it and you're week 7 and you're like, oh man, Aaron Rodgers is kind of garbage this year.
He's just whatever.
I mean, he's had maybe one other top 12 week, and then he goes off for six touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, that's ridiculous. So you look at it, you're like, oh man, I think I'll be okay. He might get 15 to 25 points, and he busts out something like a 60-point game or something ridiculous.
Oh, it's crazy
on some formats, I'm sure. So
back to baseball though. The Yanks and Astros series for the ALCS.
That was
kind of flipping that. That was a good series, even though it ended at Game 6. I was hoping for a Game 7, but the end of Game 6.
Oh, the end of Game 6 was so good. There was a video that I saw. If I can find it, guys, I'm going to post it to our social media because I did find it once already. But it's a bunch of Yankees fans in a section in Houston, and they're being all New York, like, yeah, baby, yeah, Yankees, let's do this, yeah, just being ridiculous New York fans. Sure. And as that video is going on, Jose Altuve absolutely hisses no doubter, and they are as silent as can be. And if you hate the Yankees as much as I do, it is one of the most enjoyable videos to watch. So if I find it, I will post it.
You should.
You guys enjoy it.
Put it on that Facebook. Something else now over to, staying in the baseball world, it's amazing that the Astros were looking pretty unbeatable, and now they have been, they lost 2 straight in the World Series.
Nationals, who also apparently seem to be playing against nobody again.
Yeah. They start off okay. The Astros are at least putting up some runs.
Better than the Cardinals, at least. But
better than the Cardinals.
I mean, they made Justin. Well, I don't know when Justin Verlander exited last night, but it was good until the 7th, and then it just unraveled, and I turned it off.
Yep.
So, and the first game wasn't bad. That was a fun game. Second game, not as much.
I want to put in a little bit of hockey news as well. I was looking up just some recent standings. The Buffalo Sabres, dude, have you seen what they've been doing?
Yeah,
Top
Carter Hutton
in the NHL.
Carter Hutton.
Whoa! But they're
killing it.
They're also scoring a ton.
Oh yeah, they are. They're a good team. I'm just mentioning Carter Hutton because he was back up.
I think 1 loss
Jake
total.
Allen.
That includes overtime. If I'm not mistaken.
They're a great team, and this is it may have been a week or so ago, but at the time that the Buffalo Bills were over 500, I think they're still over 500, but they were actually, we'll find out later because those are our lightning standings, guys. A little preview to come, but the first
NFL.
time that both teams have been over 500 in like over a decade.
So, I got you. Yeah,
mostly because they've been very bad.
That's I have. That's why I had put that in.
So congratulations to the Buffalo Sabres. Like I like seeing them be good just because they're not there all the time.
Little college football. Clemson took a dip, even though they are still undefeated.
It's because they're playing nobody.
They're playing nobody, right? So if anyone ever sees that, that's all. Strength of schedule. Ohio though taking on Wisconsin 59-0. Did you see any of that? I didn't. I just saw the headline.
Yeah, I just saw the headline too.
Okay. So no reaction other than Ohio's making a statement for themselves as
Ohio or Ohio State?
Was it Ohio State?
I don't know. Okay. I didn't know they were playing Ohio. The Wildcats? Did Wisconsin lose to a
Buckeyes? Ohio State.
Okay,
yeah.
Ohio State.
All right, that's my fault. Not clarifying. I'm thinking of one team.
Sure.
It's a good call. Keep me honest. What did you see, Eric? You got a little bit of a thing from that London game.
Okay. So this actually is evolving into our topic. So another preview, guys. The fair catch rule that happened at this point a couple weeks ago in London between Carolina Panthers and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It is a fair catch rule that at the end of a half, technically they can do it at any time, but it almost solely occurs at the end of the half, that if a team punts and someone fair catches, the team can then opt for a free kick with no defensive rush. And so it was about a 60-yard field goal attempt is what it becomes. Obviously your placement of where you actually get that ball is going to be good. And you're not typically going to take that opportunity with time in the half because you're going to want to try and drive and either score a touchdown or at least be a lot closer.
So it doesn't have to be at the end of the half. Is that what you're saying?
Technically, it doesn't have to be at the end of the half. However, that's really the only applicable place that you could see this happen.
Interesting.
So,
yeah, because otherwise you have to really trust your kicker, and just for some reason you want to try to get quick 3 points,
or not trust your offense,
or just to preserve time in the clock, perhaps. Yeah, not trust your offense.
You could do that, but you're going to immediately give the ball back.
It's true. Yeah. So you better believe in your defense to make another stop. But this is a very obscure rule to me. It's something I didn't even know about, so I couldn't even forget about it. But it looked like a lot of people had forgotten about it in this game. What was it? Carolina against Tampa Bay, right?
Correct.
And it was Tampa Bay that went on to make the kick. No, it was Carolina, right?
Carolina.
And they wound up missing, but it was just kind of astounding to watch this that, they punt the ball, the half is over, and no, everyone stay on the field, hang on. And then the formation is actually really cool. It looks like they're about to kick off as if Carolina just scored. But all these guys just have to kind of stand there and watch.
Yeah, they have to stand 10 yards back.
Yeah.
And he gets to kick it. There's no snap or anything. The holder will just hold it in place. So there's no tee either. He just holds it in place, and kicker can get a running start just like it's a kickoff, and hopefully make it, and then gets 3 points going into the half.
Yeah.
So
kind of like a free throw in basketball, which is a segue into a basketball obscure rule I came across. Okay. It's about dunking during the warm-ups. You can't do it. I didn't know that. I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of like in a beer commercial. You can't see an actor drink an alcoholic beverage.
Correct.
That's FCC rule. But in basketball, during your warm-ups, you can't dunk the ball within that 20 minutes that are on the clock. If you do, it's a free throw to the other team. So you can start the game before the first second is even off the clock. You can start the game with a winner and a loser, basically, with a score. I'd
crazy.
Never heard of that before. Yeah, I had no idea. So I guess that's cool. I get it, whatever, but never came across that one.
Yeah, I mean, some of the other ones that we came across is in tennis. Obviously, all the players are typically wearing hats, and if they also most of the time have a tennis ball in their pocket, or up the side of the skirt there, or whatever's going on. And so if the ball or the hat falls off incidentally, then the play is stopped immediately, and they have to replay the point. I found that interesting, and it makes sense to me for the hat. I actually almost kind of lean towards the side of if it's the ball that falls out for some reason, I feel like honestly it should be the opponent that gets the point. That's just my take on it.
Yeah,
you got thoughts?
Well, I do actually have some thoughts on this. So I'm reading about this rule, and they throw out some examples of like some of the most notable times when it's happened. Like during a round 2 match at Wimbledon in 2008, where it really you could argue that it threw the outcome of the match. My beef is that if you're electing to put on an article of clothing like a hat, and which is what would most often, I think, is more commonly what would fall off a player, then that's just kind of like that's on you. Like your hat fell off. So you should probably be more penalized rather than the instances that you come across are that the players with stuff falling off of them on the court, that you can't just have stuff laying around. It's not hockey. You can't just leave a hockey stick around.
You can't just fight someone?
As soon as that tennis ball hits like a hat, a shoe, whatever, but another ball, then that's just going to create chaos in that sport. Absolutely. Something that has to be so buttoned up. So as soon as something drops down there, then it should just be replayed. I think that's it.
Okay. I mean, fair enough. I mean, technically that's the rule, so...
Well, I support it. So, but again, reading through this, a lot of the athletes that had it would be an example of like Andy Murray one time was hitting the ball over on a drop shot. He was going to get the point, and the hat fell off. So they ruled as you got to replay the point, and it had a massive impact on that that game.
Yeah, I can see it having a huge impact.
And so at the time, he was really upset. Well, and he probably still is about it. And I have to look at that and go, well, yeah, you can look at the video and say you were probably going to get that hit, but then it's going to start inching toward a gray area of when does a piece of clothing start falling off and become not a distraction, or when does it become a distraction? And I think it's just it's plain binary. Is it still in your body or not? If it's on the court, then you got to just replay it.
Yeah, I mean, and
or don't wear the hat,
or don't wear the hat if you wanted to.
Exactly.
Yeah, as long as it's unintentional. All right. I think is the important thing.
All right, we should move on to another one. How about the MLB rule that if you hit a ball, hit a home run, that you can get a pitch runner to finish that for you?
Yeah, so there was an instance for that back in 2005. Red Sox infielder Tony Graffino belted a homer with outfielder Gabe Kapler standing on first base. As they were rounding home the bases, Kapler blew out his Achilles tendon rounding second base. I mean, how awful is that? That one, you're blowing out your Achilles, which is supposed to be incredibly painful.
Yeah,
but also on a play that it's you're not hot dogging it, but yeah, I mean, for all intents and purposes in the game, you're kind of hot dogging it around the bases and slow trotting. And the home run hitter Graffino had to stop in place because obviously he can't pass him, otherwise he would be out and the homer technically wouldn't have counted.
Right.
So eventually the umps determined that the Red Sox were entitled to a substitute base runner for Kapler since he was already entitled to make the full base run. So in this instance with the home run, you can actually get a substitute runner. Now, if it was a live ball, then that's not going to be the case. They would have, essentially declared him out because the opposing team could tag said individual. So, but I think that's kind of a cool one, very sportsmanlike. And we talked pre-show about there's a very famous video of college softball where a girl hit a home run and I think she blew out her knee rounding first base. And so the players then, the opposing team players decided that they were going to be, the best sportsman possible and really instill, positivity into the game. And they picked up the player and, had her touch base.
Yeah,
at every spot around, and so she got the home run. So very sportsmanlike. I don't know that you would see that in professional sports in particular.
Maybe not necessarily, but it's a good moment.
But very great moment, heartfelt moment. So good for that one.
When we're looking up these obscure rules, these are the ones that you keep seeing filtered up to the top. And actually, one of my favorites, or probably my favorite to think about, is the 1-point safety in football.
Such a weird one.
We were talking about this. It is really weird because are the chances can it happen?
So many things have to happen for that to take place.
Is it going to happen? No, because it would have to happen on an extra point or a 2-point conversion, that the ball gets loose and then that other team has to have a safety.
Well, if it's a 2-point conversion, then technically it would be a 2-point.
I think it will still be a 1-point safety. That's the rule.
I think it's just isn't it just the extra point? Because that play is worth 1 point. But if it's a 2-point conversion, I think it's worth 2 points.
Well, with the new NFL rule that if you block a field goal and score it, return for a score, that's 2 points.
Yes.
If it's a 2-point conversion, you intercept the ball, run it back. That's 2 points. if you had a safety in that play, it's 1 point in either of those instances.
Okay.
Which is just weird. Like, why would a safety occur? But that's the only way you can get a 1 point play.
1 point play in the NFL, guys. It is possible.
And with that, moving right along to our next segment of the episode, and it's our Who You Got segment. For this one, it's more about a prediction, a bold prediction. We're heading into week 8.